You might think you've seen every space horror movie out there, that vast void where humanity finds itself more vulnerable than ever. A place where our most primitive fears are amplified by the immensity of the unknown, where isolation and claustrophobia merge into a terrifying paradox. In this video, we'll explore the 10 most impactful films that have managed to capture this unique essence of space horror, works that have resonated so deeply with audiences that they've become undisputed references in the genre. From psychological thrillers to visceral horror, each of these movies reminds us why space continues to be the perfect setting for our deepest nightmares. With a spectacular leading trio formed by Ryan Reynolds, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Rebecca Ferguson, Life introduces us to a crew returning to Earth after a long space journey. They're carrying one of the most important discoveries in human history, proof of the first extraterrestrial life form. With it aboard, while they study it fascinated, they'll realize this life form is much more intelligent than it initially appeared, and it will gradually turn the entire journey into a terrifying scenario that no one anticipated. Let me tell you that Life is a story that inevitably feels familiar, but the way it unfolds, its leading cast, and the mystery that gradually sows chaos and horror throughout the ship make it an essential film. If you want to immerse yourself in this space nightmare, you can find it available on Netflix or as a rental on Amazon Prime Video. The origin of one of the great action sagas of the 21st century, which in this first part leaned much more into the horror genre than its two sequels. With Vin Diesel, who back in 2000 wasn't as well known as he is now, Pitch Black narrates how during a long journey, a starship suffers an accident due to an asteroid shower. Forced to make an emergency landing, the cargo ship will crash on an unknown planet with 3 suns. This violent landing will cost the lives of most of the crew, and a dangerous killer who was imprisoned on board, Riddick, escapes. In this inhospitable place, an eclipse will cause these 3 suns to darken, giving way to a total black night in which strange creatures will appear to make everything even more terrifying. Personally, it's one of my favorite movies and a rather forgotten cult work that introduced us to Riddick and his saga. You can enjoy this work on both Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. Speaking of people lost in space with very bad luck, despite not being considered horror at all, I believe its premise is one of the most intense and terrifying ever presented in cinema history. Gravity is pure solitude, the most unimaginable horror where death seems to be the next stop with no possible remedy, being trapped in the immensity of space, floating toward nowhere. Without a doubt, Alfonso Cuarón's idea quite revolutionized the cinematographic landscape of 2013, both for its staging and its special effects, and a level of immersion so powerful that it left the senses stunned in a movie theater. Sandra Bullock and George Clooney star in one of the most special extreme survival films of recent years, where feeling trapped in something as infinite as outer space can be. This immersive experience is available on HBO Max and also as a rental on Apple TV+. A gift to the senses capable of transmitting emotions as powerful as loneliness, sadness, claustrophobia, or paranoia. An empathy capsule with a protagonist totally unprotected against his surroundings, which is nothing other than fear in the immense outer space. Moon, with a tremendous Sam Rockwell, presents a man who works completely alone on the lunar surface in the not-too-distant future in a mining excavation. When he has finally finished his shift and is prepared to return home shortly before, he discovers something that will twist everything. As I mentioned before, all the joy he felt upon finishing his mission transforms into terror when his mind begins to play tricks on him, unleashing a series of events that will test his sanity. Duncan Jones's debut, and possibly still his best film, brings us from Earth's satellite a terrifying vision of a worn-out mind that escapes the logic we might expect in this type of film. With unexpected readings and details, always uncertain, always nervous and suffocating, an overdose of emotional weightlessness that takes you to the limit until the end, this space cinema gem is available on Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. In 2007 came one of the most intense experiences regarding space adventures, a blinding and brilliant proposal, extraordinary for science fiction lovers. Sunshine. The sun seems to be reaching its end and in a few years will go out, leaving life on Earth practically dead. A ship will be humanity's only hope, the Icarus II, a mission that consists of carrying a gigantic amount of energy to the star and causing an explosion that would make it return to normal. I assure you that we're looking at the most vertiginous space-set thriller of recent years, which gives no time for anything and immerses you in a visually spectacular journey. Luminous, aesthetically brutal, and with an intense progression that gives no respite. Directed by Danny Boyle, who already created masterpieces like 28 Days Later and Trainspotting, among many others, and with familiar faces like the always unique Cillian Murphy, Chris Evans, or Rose Byrne, a true gem of space adventures. You can find this visual experience on Star Plus and Disney Plus. From Sweden, Aniara presents us with a difficult future in which, due to climate change, the human race has been forced to leave the blue planet to seek survival. But in the middle of the journey, something hits the ship, knocking it off its established path and leaving it in an uncertainty that will push all passengers to their limits. With a plot that produces chills just thinking about it, this science fiction thriller is amazing in terms of technical aspects and production, full of readings and messages that stay with you, and a depressing aura of sadness that elevates it to another level. A little recognized marvel that I strongly encourage you to watch to get lost in the immensity of a dystopian reflection not so foreign to us. This Swedish gem is available on Hulu and AMC+. We return to the mockumentary style and do so to present one of the best films of this type, Europa Report, or Europa 1. A team of astronauts is sent to Jupiter's fourth moon to find extraterrestrial life. But during the journey, communication will be lost and chaos and horror will be unleashed in every corner of the ship. With fascinating direction, a unique beauty in its form and shots in this subgenre, and a plot that hooks, frightens, shakes, and entertains. A very hidden gem that I invite you to watch now if you haven't seen it yet. You can discover this gem on Amazon Prime Video, or watch it for free with ads on Tubi TV. Two crew members of a spaceship wake up without remembering absolutely anything. They don't know who they are, what they're doing there, or what their mission was. Nothing. But as they gradually discover everything and venture through the corridors and rooms of that ship, they'll realize they're not alone, and something dark and terrifying has made all the passengers disappear. Pandorum is a great science fiction and obviously horror movie. A bloody journey among humanoid creatures, hallucinations, and an oppressive atmosphere that will make you suffer, often reminiscent of the video game Dead Space. The movie starring Dennis Quaid is an entertaining and suffocating madness that plays with the viewer until the end. This space nightmare is available on Amazon Prime Video and free on Pluto TV. One of the best science fiction movies of all time and one of the best horror films of the 90s. With oppressive horror, gruesome scenes, and plenty of gore, Event Horizon, or Horizonte Final, without the jump scares or deformed monsters that this type of movie has accustomed us to, manages to produce genuine creepiness thanks to its atmosphere and its play between realities, paranoia, and hallucinations. A journey to the hells of the human mind, a very well-achieved sense of uncertainty, and a whole experience of disturbing images, strange events on a stranded ship in the middle of space, and a crew that has no idea what they're going to face. An amazing film that doesn't leave anyone indifferent. You can experience this space horror classic on Paramount Plus or rent it on Amazon Prime Video. And yes, although the first place was very obvious and won't surprise you, it's indisputable. And not just the first entry in the saga, but with its ups and downs, all the others too, because it's a clear reference for all the movies we've seen so far in the top. Ridley Scott was a visionary who in 1979 gave cinema one of its most important and beloved works in history. Alien, the pioneer of a way of talking about space, its mysteries, the terror of the unknown. From the original to the last one, as I say, some better than others, but all with that seal, that production design, special effects, that characteristic scenography of the xenomorph universe. A masterpiece, a work of art, responsible for everything that has come after in science fiction. It would give us enough material to talk about for videos and videos, from The Eighth Passenger to Covenant. The gold of the top, the Alien saga. This definitive masterpiece of the genre is available on Disney Plus and Star Plus. Space horror continues to be one of the most fascinating subgenres of horror cinema, where the immensity of the cosmos becomes our worst enemy and solitude our only companion. These 10 movies have demonstrated why outer space continues to be the perfect setting for exploring our deepest fears, reminding us that in the infinite void, no one can hear our screams. Each of these works has pushed us to the limit of what we believe possible, expanding the boundaries of the genre and leaving an indelible mark on the history of horror cinema. What space horror movie would you recommend? If you've enjoyed this content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep the space horror content coming. A like helps tremendously, and subscribe if you haven't already. Infinite thanks, and see you in the next video. Greetings to all space horror lovers.